Hello artists, today we are going to roll a monster. So every monster is going to turn out different depending on what body parts you roll. On this paper you'll see that you have the bodies first as the first roll, and whatever you roll on your dice is going to be the type of body that you draw. And then you move on to the second roll would be the eyes and the nose that you use for your monster. The third roll is the mouth, and the fourth roll is something that they put on top of their head. Now, when you do this, you're going to have dice in a little cup. Keep it in the cup so that the dice doesn't fall off the table. Just roll it in the cup and find your number there. So to begin with, I'm going to make my first roll to find out my body shape. I got a 1, so my body shape kind of looks a little strange, but we're going to attempt it. I'm going to get my Sharpie out. You're going to use pencil though, and draw lightly in case you need to erase. And I want to make sure I make it a big body because it's the subject of my picture, so I want it to be nice and big on my paper. So I know there were 2 arches on that body shape, and it kind of went up and went around and back up. There, and I did the best I can. I think it looks pretty good. Then the second roll, I'm going to find out what kind of eyes and nose I have. I'm going to roll my dice. I got a 3, so I can either put the eyes on the body or I can put them on top of the body. It's really your choice on where you want to put the eyes on your monster. So I'm going to go ahead and get these eyes drawn. That one looks a little silly, but that's okay. Whenever you draw in Sharpie, you can't really erase, so that's why I'm having you draw in pencil. So I'm going to go ahead and add his eyes in here, and then oh, don't forget his nose. Ooh, he's got a weird flat nose. Then I'm going to go ahead and do my mouth and add that on. So I've got some teeth on here. So mostly just big ovals for his teeth. And then I'm going to find out what goes on top of his head. Ooh, that one's interesting. I'm going to make the circle go behind his eyes. Again, it's your monster. You can do him however you want to add him to the top of his head. Let me get these added. And then you want a background for your picture, some kind of background. It could be a scene, it could be patterns. This one I drew a scene where he's outside, maybe in a park. I think on this one I'm just going to do some patterns in the background instead of a whole scene. So I'm going to draw my pattern. And then once you are done with your monster, you can trace in Sharpie if you want to, but you don't have to. You can use crayons, oil pastels, and watercolor paints, or all 3 of them to create your monster. But the paint, if you're using crayons or oil pastels, will be last. This is the last thing you do is paint, because those oil pastels and those crayons will resist the paint with the wax in them, and it won't cover up the beautiful coloring that you've already done. So I think I'm going to outline his body in oil pastels this time. I kind of like the look of that. Get that put in there. Maybe use some crayons to color a few parts like his nose. Maybe the circle in the back behind his eyes and his antennas I can use crayon with. So I'm just kind of mixing it up and using all 3 different types of medium to color my monster. Be careful when you use oil pastels, though. I just noticed I smudged it a little bit with my hand on accident. Oil pastels will smudge if you're rubbing your hand on them instead of like lifting your hand off the paper. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use crayons for his antennas. And then I think I'm going to use crayons for my shapes in the back. So once I get these colored in, I left the rest to paint. So really I just need to be painting his body. And then I want to paint the background so that it's not just white. So I'm going to fill these in real fast. Taking my time, trying not to scribble, trying to get in all the white that I can so that my paint does not get into my shapes. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my water, pet paint. Don't forget to get water and then just pet your paint. Don't stab it. We don't want to tear the paints up. And I'm going to fill in the color. I kind of like the effect with the dark oil pastel around the edges and the watercolor in the middle. I think it kind of gives it a different kind of look. And I think let's go with blue for my background. So I'm going to paint this in, and then once I'm done with that, I should be finished and ready to put them up to dry. Now, like I said, everybody's monster is going to be different And it even depends on where you want to draw the eyes and things like that when you go to do your monster. Now, I can't keep you from cheating and just picking the ones that you want to draw. I just think it's more fun for the dice to choose it for me and see what I come up with in the end. Can't wait to see the monsters you create today. So there's one, and then here's my other example right there.